So caste is understood, this is a rewinding backward. Caste is understood as a force structure. Okay, the traditional understanding. So, again I might introduce a new subject here. See, everywhere when you study caste, we study top to bottom. Head, Brahmin at the top, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Shudra. So when you say that every time when you study top to bottom, what do you understand is, it is said that somebody is low, right? He is lower. There's nobody is called upper. Until you come to the Shudras. Now Shudras let us keep as untouchables for understanding. Huh? Okay, let us forget that earlier one for understanding. So Brahmin is the top, and then below, and then this one. So everybody thinks somebody is bottom to somebody. Okay, nobody is upper. The concept of upper is not there until this untouchable comes. Only for Dalits there are upper caste and lower caste. So, for upper caste there is no upper caste, right? For upper caste there is no lower caste. For an example, for the Vaishyas, there is no concept of lower caste. For them, the lower caste is the untouchables. So understand what like this, or let us keep as it was earlier. This is Shudra, this is Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and then the untouchables. Though we all claim that it is a hierarchical structure like this, but actually it is not a hierarchical structure, as we said earlier. This is a structure of this one. What do you say? Vertical structure. It is not a hierarchical structure. Brahmins, below them there are Kshatriyas. Brahmins don't say Kshatriyas are the lower caste. The lower caste in the all literature, it refers to only untouchables.
Even Shudras is?
Yeah, Shudras are lower caste. No, Shudras are OBCs, backward castes.
They are not untouchables.
No, they are not untouchables. Yeah, Shudras. This is
Shudra?
Okay, so for Brahmins, the untouchables are the lower caste. So the Kshatriyas, the untouchable is not Vaishyas, similar to this. So there is no hierarchical structure. Okay, the hierarchical structure is not there, it is a vertical structure. It is vertical structure of purity and impurity. There is nothing called upper and lower. The concept of, see, you should understand very clearly. When you say upper caste, somebody is upper. When you say somebody is lower, somebody is lower, which comes into a hierarchical structure. Okay, upper and lower. But what this category of upper and lower does not have meaning when Dalits imagine they are lower, they are considered low, they are treated low because, or second-hand citizen, because they do unclean work. So they consider they are between lower, treated lowly, or treated inhumanly, or they are not touched, for example. Let us not consider this lowly, lower and upper in a literal sense. Let us take what is happening on the ground. On the ground, when Dalits are not touched, when Dalits are kept away from the village, it is basically Dalits believe that, not Dalits believe it, Dalits sometimes they do imagine that they are kept away from the village because they are considered to do the work of manual work. So since they are doing manual work, Dalits themselves think that they should not touch the caste and those. So there is no hierarchical structure of somebody is upper and lower. Upper and lower is considered when we say that this manual work is considered lowly in our language. So the concept of upper and lower was not there. The concept of purity pollution was there. In purity pollution, this concept, everybody imbibed this one. If these people would have considered lower, if lower caste is considered lower and upper caste is considered upper, then the lower caste at least should have kept the toilet in the house. They should have considered sanitation on par with everything. But Dalits themselves consider sanitation as a work which only degraded human beings would do. So that is why Dalits would say that manual scavenging, why should Dalits, you do the work, you leave this work and come. So the idea of Dalits also think this is a lowly work, this is an inhuman work. If this work is done by somebody, then that people cannot be touched by others. They do not have the right to interact with each other. Are you getting the point? So therefore, the idea, the concept of upper and lower is not there. In my understanding, the concept of upper and lower is not there. It is a concept of purity pollution. In this purity pollution, you can have graded inequality. Purity pollution. In this, graded inequality comes in a modern kind of a word, or it considers the lowly status. Okay, lowly means no, not low. Go down. So you got this idea. So purity pollution. So this purity pollution ideology in this purity pollution ideology, temple as a pure place. Why caste becomes so difficult to eradicate is also like the slavery system. The temple and also this one, South Africa's apartheid. It's like this apartheid caste system. It's not apartheid kind of a division, but apartheid is a notion, and that notion was successfully implemented, similar to the caste system. So the temple is a place of pure, and the toilet is a place of impure. So this construction in India is unique, and it has been taken by everybody. So therefore, if one person works in the toilet, he would say that even after working, he will not say toilet should not be treated like this, or he will not say that temple should not be treated like that. He will also say that yes, toilet is a very bad object. So that was so unique that everybody started taking for granted. So that since that ideology says that if you are working on toilet, you are a inhuman, was also practiced by these same people. Similar to that, so these people will always follow. So therefore, this idea was taken very closely by every one of us, and every one of us started practicing that. So therefore, this toilet and the temple and the body. So as I told you, this of purity and this temple, and let us skip the division between temple and the toilet. What is this marker? The marker which I say that toilet is a pure place, toilet as an impure place, temple as a pure place. What is the distance, or what is that demarcates both of them? God. Where does the God come on? How? Explain.
God exists in temple, but not in toilets.
No, but what is the demarcation? This division, what I say. For an example, when this person says toilet as a toilet. Remember this very important. Toilet is a construction. Is a inhuman, impure structure, polluted, and impure. So, and your Brahmins,
Who is working on that?
Here.
Here.
Who's working?
Untouchable.
Untouchable. And here the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. So this is what very important. So the demarcation between the toilet and the temple, the space, two spaces away. So these two spaces are built not with the kind of you have to try to explain to me. It was not a space that one space is there, the other space is there, but it is we are all living together, right? So this space was completely built not with love but full of with hatred. You should remember this one. The temple space was there, pure space, but the toilet space was not created by the polluted people. Let us not bring temple here. Let us get holy space. Why unnecessary? This holy space is a space when it comes as a holy, then there is a space of unholiness. So this unholiness was not only a space, it was also connecting to the human being. And these human being has to be controlled in the system to protect the holy space. For an example, this holy space means even the holy people. They need to be protected. For example, if they shit, somebody has to clean. If they get the knowledge, if they get the power, if they get the land, they would not come to this work. So therefore, they were controlled. This population in the past was controlled and was shaped by this population. And they were kept away from the town, they were kept away from the city, villages, and they were, as I told earlier, their houses were all huts, and they were not allowed to buy land, even if they had money, and it was a barter system, and they should not ever live next to them, not marry, intermarry, interdining, everything, nothing is possible. They should not even, when they enter into the house, they have to also whistle. No, this actually earlier form of caste system is so horrible. Like you have to whistle, you have to tie a broom behind you, you can't spit, you have to carry a coconut shell. So that things were all controlled. The body was controlled and policed. So this body, the present body of Dalits, is not one kind of a same universal body like these people.
But these people, holy place people,
Yeah.
also come under the category to toilet.
No.
But that space toilet is also connected with these people. These people need to shit.
No, they have to clean. It is about the work. No, this is the work of a people. They work here. They work here.
About the work.
Yeah, this is all work people. This is maintaining the system.
Okay.
So, for example, holy space is a place occupied by the four varnas. That holy space is the space of a village, space of a temple, space of the day. But see, the caste system was a product. When they say about Shudra, see, caste system is about serving the Brahmin on the top. For an example, Brahmin would be the priest. Kshatriyas will go to the war. They will have, Vaishyas will have earn money. So this is also a system to support them. And they were manual work, like going to the paddy field, working field and producing food, and also cleaning the sanitation work. So everything was done by these people, the outcast people and the Shudras. So Shudras, sometimes they came out, they were into the structure, but outcast work is to look into the sanitation. So in this holy space and the toilet, unholy space, there were people demarcated who should be here and who should not be there. And the unholy people whom we call, their body was policed. So you got this point. So their body was policed. How they were policed is, their houses were not, the clothes what they wear were enforced upon them. They can't wear clothes. They are not able to wear necklace, jewels, and no purchasing of land. And so there are so many things like this. And they should not wear slippers. And dhotis, they should not tie the dhoti. And they should not ride bicycles. So there were many rules. There were many rules even now in some part of the villages, India, they do follow such rules. So then there were language. The language of them, maybe both speak Tamil, but their language would be a language of a caste. Like most of respect words would be there. And for them, the god would be not the holy space, but these people would be considered as a god. And like for example, the word Sami is a normal term that everybody uses. Sami means god also, you can connote. But Sami means also an upper caste there. In a village, they have to call, they can't address by the name. So those things were all policed. This was not some random space of toilet and holy structure. What I mean is, for example, we divide this group into two groups. And one person, we say that you are a pure person and you are an impure person. So let us keep this ideology. Whomever does the impure work, you are considered impure. Whomever does pure work, you are considered pure work. But both of us shit, both of us do everything. But we need people to work. So therefore, we are saying that impure people, the ideology is there. You do impure work, therefore you are considered as impure. So for pure people, you shit, you consider them to come and work, but the ideology for them is to consider to be impure. Not getting it, huh? We'll divide this group, Mapla. We are dividing this group into two groups. Now there is a ideology. Or let us come, even before dividing, let us keep an ideology. There is a holy space and there was an unholy space. Architecture, toilet, cleaning toilet, and going to the temple. So now we have a people. We say that you both agree. All of us agree that when we go for a toilet, it is, when you're cleaning a toilet, it is impure. You agree. You go to a temple, it is pure. You agree. So now voluntarily you take a work. You know that if you go and clean the toilet, you will be treated untouchable. But you understand it is untouchable. But you take work. And you also say, when I say I'm not touching you, of course you will say, don't touch me because I'm an untouchable. Because you also subscribe to the argument that doing this work means I should be untouchable. So therefore the ideology is there. Then you're grouping into the people, and people take it voluntarily, they take the suppression. I'm not saying this suppression is taken voluntarily, but the ideology, that ideology of going, not allowing to the temple in many of the villages, they would say that yes, I will not go to the temple because I subscribe to the ideology, because I'm an untouchable, because I am not doing that work. I cannot be a priest because that ideology Periyars tried to attack. They were trying to mobilize the crowd, and they said that no, this is not wrong. This is wrong. You have to protest. You have to mobilize. So that is what Dalit movement is doing. But still, they are in utter failure state of affairs on the ground. So you got this point. So ideology is absorbed by everyone. The purity pollution ideology is absorbed by everyone, and therefore the treatment is different. That treatment of Dalits would be different, and there is also different. But they oppose the treatment. But they absorb the ideology. Where to find out is, even when they do, even they would consider toilet cleaner as an untouchable. Yeah, untouchables will also consider toilet cleaners as an untouchable. For an example, Chakliers would say in Tamil Nadu, Chakliers themselves will say this job is an untouchable job. We don't want to do the job. And among Chakliers itself, they will say, no, I don't do sanitation. I do sanitation, but I don't get into the manual. And the manual person will say, I'm getting into manual, I'm not doing manual scavenging. So the idea of untouchable in the workforce is across the nation. So across the nation, it is a universal idea in Indians actually. Sanitation is an untouchable work. Other works are not untouchable. So sanitation work, untouchable work, only untouchables will do. And untouchables are treated badly because of the work. They are not allowed into the temple because of the work. They also understand that. So wherever you go to a village structure, when you go to a village, you ask a Dalit, you are not allowed into that. Why don't you sit? Now I gave you some examples. In parliament, in assembly, Karnataka assembly, when you ask a Dalit to sit in the assembly, he says that no, my landlord made me to win the elections and he is my God. How can I sit in front of him? So that absolving that, that we are lowly status to them is what is important thing of caste system. So you got this point, Mapla. So therefore, this is an ideology, right? But you should understand, when I said it did not happen normally. See, this was not a choice. One more thing, historically, you should understand. What I'm trying to say is, on the ground, this was enforced. The idea was not, the idea of toilet is impure was not enforced. But the idea of these people are impure was impure. They meant to be impure. They meant to be not to have land. Everything was enforced upon them. So the culture of Dalits actually, the culture of Dalit, dress code, the speaking style, everything is an enforcement of these people. So therefore, when an Nair says that a culture of mine, caste is a culture, and when you say that caste is a culture, okay, I have a culture, what is your problem when they talk about Dalits, that Dalits or somebody else, and Nayars would say, Brahmins would say, Kshatriyas would say, we all have great culture, and some people say from the caste like Gujars, I am a great warrior, Gujar and all. When they say the problem comes, because Dalits culture they cannot uphold, because we never had a culture. Because the culture Dalits had in the past and the present is an enforcement by the Brahmins and upper caste. You got this point? So the body of the Dalits at present is an outcome of the caste system. For an example, the language what I speak, the body language what I have, majorly how I carry caste. Every one of us, I was talking in the morning how the language itself is, talks about the confidence. But Dalit's language, mostly what I studied is, Dalit's language will always be in a lower status, without confidence. So this comes with historically, as I said. See, one more thing for this, adding to this point, I told every Dalit's house, Dalit's parents will tell their children not to speak loud, not to show your chest.
you have to look down on the road and walk. At least you can leave that part, but not to speak loud is a clear cut to everyone. And they will say, if you are in a village, they will tell how you have to behave with the Brahmin. So therefore, everything is shaped, and your parents absorbed it, right? My parents absorbed how to speak. My parents teach me how to speak in a public, how to speak to an upper caste, how do I see an upper caste. This is all taught by the parents. So therefore, this body what I have, what I carry, or the culture what we have is an enforced culture by the Brahmins. Therefore, when they claim they are a great culture, but we do not have that privilege. The privilege of claiming my culture is a great culture, because my culture was an enforced culture by them. Therefore, that is where I argue that if this culture is a homogenized, independent, self-respect, civil rights, does this culture, like Gujar culture or upper caste culture, has civil rights in it? Civil rights means social justice, right? Any culture should have that kind of a social justice. That does not have, because if your culture is grown from oppressing somebody, then your culture certainly will never have social justice in it. So this culture is an exclusive culture, right? Gujar culture is an exclusive culture. When they promote or when they say that your culture is a great culture, you also have to mean whether that culture respects their own men and women in that culture. Actually, it does not. See, for example, if the Gujars women marry a Dalit woman, they get killed. You know that caste Hindus marrying Dalit men get attacked and killed. So this culture is so patriarchal culture that they do not even let their women, that is their parents, their family members, go to an extent to kill the others. When they find, they leave this culture and they go to this culture. And the body. So the space and the body, or there is an ideology, to put it short, there is an ideology of who's pure, who's not pure, and which is an impure space and the pure space is there. And then the bodies are there. The body is also fixed into that. Initial space of fixing the body was enforced upon them, but now it has been naturalized and normalized in this 21st century. Okay, that is done. But now the important fact is, this is again the body and space, right? Body and space. Body and space. Okay. If you want to understand caste system, that is the relation between the body and space. But this body, I said that this body and space, though there isn't one particular ideology of fixing into one purity and pollution, then there are two bodies. One, there is this pure body, untouchable body, and the touchable body. You should understand this one. So bodies are two. That is spatial body and spatial relationship. And then there is this other. This is a pure body or pure body and the untouchable body. Now here I introduce another concept. See, actually the relationship between these two, the relationship on the ground between two, is a relationship which we need to look very closely. What kind of a relationship they had on the ground? For an example, I said that this body, or the impure, the untouchable body, let us keep that word. The untouchable body was a body created by the touchable bodies. Okay? The spatial and the body, everything was created and enforced upon them by the touchables. So the touchables were the people who controlled the entire ideology of the who can be a member, who cannot be a member. It is not that they would say that touchable you become a member. I mean to say they decided Brahmins are members of this. Untouchables, you cannot be a member of that. So this bodily space actually is built upon by hatredness. It is not a love relationship. It is both the bodies. This untouchable body is an outcome of hatredness of the touchables. You got this point? So now you understand the hatredness is, it is exposed upon when Dalits try to break the system. Like when a Dalit woman opposes the violence, or Dalit woman opposes the untouchability, she is faced with violence. I'm bringing this case because there are a lot of incidents in the past which has happened. So when Dalits opposed the upper caste giving low salary, they were faced upon violence. So they were asking about better living. So when they ask about reservation policy, they are faced with violence. How violence is, they don't go with the physical violence, but they say, they bring the social violence of saying that you are occupying the entire seat of us, rather than with the love relationship. There will always be a debate of love debate, right? Or friendship debate, right? That friendly debate, if the friendly relationship was there between communities, then there won't be reservation policy at all. See, one thing you should understand, what is this reservation policy? Many people would say, this reservation policy, this is one debate, one topic which I always feel that the media and the intellectuals, all of them are trying to not giving a correct example of understanding this reservation policy in India. What SCs and SCs, especially SCs and STs, were having. See, one example of reservation policy example would be, there'll be a here, and this is a wall, and here there'll be a stool. Okay, here there'll be one Dalit. This is called a Dalit person watching, and then there'll be the OBCs like that. So they'll say reservation is to give more space because of the historical disadvantage of a particular community. See, that is a wrong understanding, because historical injustice, somebody has done it, you cannot go and claim the present. For example, historical disadvantages given to, I face historical disadvantage, and there are some communities which are already educated more in number. So I want to go and get education. If I am not getting education, the government should provide me best education. Not about reservation policy. So reservation policy, because in this argument, and this is a flawed argument, and this is the argument everywhere it is said that because of, even Dalits themselves would say, because of historical disadvantage, reservation policy is given. No, reservation policy was not given for that. Because of hatredness there in the community. In Indian society is completely filled with hatredness towards one another. How it is filled with one another is, see, for example, I'll give you, when we joined English and Foreign Languages University, there were reservation policy of SCs and STs. The policy was not filled. It is not that we were not qualified. Even if we get qualified, we were not filled. For an example, in JNU, IIT Madras, IIM, in every places you find SC posts are vacant. It is not that SCs are not educated that much. No, we don't get a chance. For an example, even now, so much of work what we have done, I don't get a space in academics. Because academics is ruled by the Brahmins. And Brahmins do not want a subaltern, not the untouchables, to enter into university spaces. So that is why reservation policy was given to making sure that you will take somebody from this community.
For making sure they should be our employees.
Yeah, we can say either ways. But reservation policy, for example, in this crowd, government says that, government when they bought, a classic example is SC/ST reservation in political parties, elections. That is a classic example to understand why reservation policy is important. Why reservation policy was given in elections. For an example, when the Panchayat elections was announced in Tamil Nadu, initially 1990s I think, when it was announced, immediately there were reserved constituencies. Why it was reserved constituencies? Because Dalits were never allowed to sit on the chair. So if you say this is historical disadvantage, then you are giving an upliftment. It is not the case. Actually, you are not giving an upliftment. You are giving a chance for Dalits to contest. Otherwise, Dalits will never be allowed by the caste Hindus to contest. So much of hatredness in the community. That is where Ambedkar said that to attack that hatredness only, Ambedkar said we need Pune Pact, where he said we need 2 votes. Dalits should be given 2 votes to choose. One Dalit should vote themselves and upper caste should vote. Because otherwise, Ambedkar says that if there is only 1 vote, because Brahmins will choose their own SCs, chamchas, and make them to sit there and they will win the elections. Rather than Dalits should have their own say with the electoral body. So elections right now, when the reserved constituency was announced, Dalits contested the elections. In many places, reserved constituencies, election never happened, did not happen for twice the term, that is 10 years. That is 2 times election did not happen at all. Caste Hindus said we are not going to vote, they boycotted the voting. Why? Hatredness. They hate the fellow human beings in India so badly. So in one place they contested and they won the elections, but they said that you cannot sit on the chair where we sat. That is Melavalavu atrocity happened. And there was even recently there was a Panchayat president who got attacked in 2014, and she got a judgment now. There were Muslims, Dalit, Muslims and OBCs all were involved in harassing that Panchayat president. Only thing is they made sure that they were asking her not to, whenever Dalit is contesting in reserve constituency, caste Hindus will choose somebody to be for namesake, they will just sign the papers, right? Recently there was some movies also. And even now it is happening across India, across Tamil Nadu. I'm not sure about Kerala. So when the reserved constituency, when Dalits are contesting, they do not have any rights in it. So if they were right and if the people love each other, that should never happen actually. There should not be violence. And the hatredness is how much, to give you examples further, there were one love marriage. You know that Ilavaran's love marriage you can forget. There was Divya's marriage, Divya and Ilavaran's, not Ilavaran, Divya, some love affair were there in Tamil Nadu. OBC community girl married a Dalit man, and they go to an extent, the OBC women's family go to an extent to kill that women themselves. Why? Hatredness. They hate the community of untouchables so much. Kevin. Hatredness. There's no love. So when I said this ideology is absorbed by everyone, now you should understand there were Muslims also. There were one Adivasi was beaten to death by Muslims. There were Muslim person also were involved in that. Madhu. So when I say this ideology of purity pollution is not an ideology came as we imagine it as a scientific category. It was a category built on violence. How it was built on violence? Huts were broken, huts were rampaged, women were raped in the past. The ideology of present, what we consider as a neutral category, it is a category which was groomed by hatredness. So all of us, if we are all Indians, if we believe that we imbibe that ideology of purity pollution of what we have right now, it is an ideology of dangerous ideology of hatredness, not even in love with the fellow human being. So now let me go a little further and say this ideology is how dangerous it is. This ideology in recently, that is October 1st, August, in Tamil Nadu, they found a Chaklier's man's body, and they found his head somewhere very far away, some 100 meters far away. And then the enquiry started, and they found this guy was in love with another SC girl. He was in love. Their family came and threatened. He said, no, I love her, and this girl also. Both are SCs. So, but they are upper caste. They ideologically pure, not upper caste. Purity pollution, they are little pure. They are scavengers, they are not scavengers. So therefore that purity pollution, you should never bring this idea of upper caste and lower caste. When you understand caste little more deeper, it is never an upper caste, lower caste. It is an ideology of purity and impurity. So in this, they are a very pure worker and they are impure worker. So this Chaklier's head was mutilated and thrown. So much of hatred. Fellow SCs. So therefore in this case, where will you have an eradicating of caste? And now in Gujarat, in 1990s, there was a statistics. The statistics was, they took some 1,500 villages and they tried to find out caste discriminations in these villages. And interestingly, they found different forms of discriminations are there between Dalit community and the other community versus. But within Dalit community, there is 99 kinds of discrimination. Within the upper caste and the lower caste, the discrimination is only 96. Within Dalit community, it is 99. So this 99 kind of hatredness, this discrimination is hatredness, right? So Indian society, if you find why there is so much of violence between human beings, between the blacks, between Muslims, between Adivasis, on Adivasis, everywhere is because of this ideology what we consume as a hatred ideology. So that is where Ambedkar enlarged this argument. Ambedkar tried to enlarge this argument in Annihilation of Caste. This is what I said in my first day of my yesterday initial lecture, that Annihilation of Caste, he said, bring love to communities. That is intercaste marriage, interdining, try to bring coalition, kind of a love relationship, a respect relationship, a civil right relationship between communities to break this caste system. It never happened actually. So this is where I end my discussion, Mapla, to say that Indian society of caste system, why it is so important to every one of us in this country is because it is an ideology not restricted to Hinduism alone. It is in every one of us. And the ideology where we groom is purity, pollution kind of an ideology, where the architecture becomes central to it, architecture and the body become so ingrained in it, and that space of architecture of toilet was not built because of convenience purposes. It was built with hatredness, and because of hatredness towards the sanitation worker, that we should not look into the sanitation worker's eyes. So that is where it is not about for example, you build a toilet inside the where I gave an example of British architectures. When they built the architectures, though the toilets were inside their palace, but still the sanitation worker was not allowed to enter into the servant way, footpath, or the main entrance. He always had a unique entrance, that separate entrance. So the hatredness of purity pollution was not built upon scientific theories or religious theories. It was built upon the hatredness towards the sanitation workers or the untouchables. So if we could, if we are reproducing that hatredness towards fellow human being, it's because we have never ever had this love relationship in Indian culture. The concept of love is completely away from that. So this is where I believe that faith and love and spirituality is so important. And Ambedkar spoke about spirituality, and Ambedkar spoke about love. And so this is a hatred relationship we have built in. Yeah. So another thing is, when this becomes a ideology, when it was the ideology of purity pollution, I have to term that different language, but let me put this way is for current discussion, purity pollution ideology. This ideology was absorbed by the government of India. Every state government absorbed it. So they implemented that. So the toilets were not given space. Now, even now, sanitation work in India is not considered as a government work. Sanitation work in India is considered as a social service to the nation. If it was considered as on par with any other work, then Prime Minister Narendra Modi would not have cleaned the foot of a sanitation worker. Did he ever clean the foot of an army worker? Did he ever clean the foot of I mean, the important workers in this country are called armies, who are safeguarding the borders. But they also safeguard, sanitation workers also do a great job, they say. But whether this army and the sanitation workers are getting equal respect in the society? No. The sanitation workers are undercurrent, like Comrade would say, he will raise his red flag when you know that sanitation workers are no more a government work. It is a contract labor. Army is never a contract labor, right? Why you are giving the sanitation workers, when you say it is an Essential Services Maintenance Act, when you call them as a sanitation worker, they were never. And then you say that your Swachh Bharat campaign came, and the Swachh Bharat campaign itself said that you have to build the toilet outside your house, only you will get that money. It never said outside. You need to show a space architecture, which you cannot build with the building, right? You have to only build outside the building to show that's a separate architecture to get money. So that is one. So the other thing is, the government also in Swachh Bharat, they made the heroines and heroes to go and sweep the road, as though the sanitation workers were not sweeping. So the sanitation worker who sweeps, and when there is a disaster happens, sanitation workers are the one force which continuously works apart from many other people who come and support the work. But they are the work. You know one thing, in Odisha, in 2000 there was a biggest landslide. Many people died. So there were no enough workers to support that disaster management. So sanitation workers were bought from Delhi by flight to clean. So there was a report when a newspaper asked, why don't it is your cow, your animal, your relatives who have died, why don't you also come and help removing the body? No, that is according to my scriptures. It is bad that I touch dead bodies. So it is a disaster. Another thing, when India was partitioned, the Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, with the support of, with Ambedkar's influence, Ambedkar wrote a letter to Jawaharlal Nehru saying that sweepers in Pakistan, Hindu sweepers in Pakistan are not allowed to come to India because that country said that we need people to be here to clean the roads and remove the dead bodies. So you understand, even now there was a case in Supreme Court which there was a friend of mine, I forgot her name, sorry, Suganya. She is a reporter in Wire. She filed a case and she won the case, and the case was in the prison, sanitation workers caste are given sanitation work. So India is so inhibited this caste labor adopting in the system of government. So that is where it becomes so powerful. That is where it could also reproduce, because every one of us, that's what I said, everyone, when the government builds houses for the public, the government does not have idea of a public toilet. They have space for praying place. They will have a space for a public tank, drinking tank. That's it. No ground, nothing. And the houses would be there. Then where will they go on for toilet? So even now in India, the sanitation policy is so bad. The only reason is we don't concentrate. The government is not concentrating upon that. So in my area, the sanitation workers of Chakler community, they said that they won't do septic tank cleaning. They said because we get identified with that. So they themselves say they won't do septic tank cleaning, but they do it. And then there was another same community of mine who's not doing sanitation work. They would look down upon this person who's doing sanitation work. So there was or if there is a manual scavenger, this sanitation workers will look and say that no, we are not doing scavenging, they are doing scavenging. So there is no community per se. The concept of community in India is not there. When Dalits say that Dalits, that is not a Dalits, that's what the Supreme Court says, that it is not an heterogeneous, it is not a homogeneous, it is heterogeneous. I take that extent to say we are never a community, we are never a particular caste we belong to. Then if you ask me, then Chamars and Mahars are mobilized, that is a class category. They get mobilized through the class category of particular caste. They don't go with another class. So that is a class category to mobilize and to hold their power, whatever they could get bits and pieces from the government. No, the Chamars, for example, educated Chamars who all form a middle class, they all join hands whatever they could to get the support from the government, to get the policies, to get support from the political parties. Apart from that, they do not represent every Chamars of the country. They do not even speak of the Chamars of the country or Mahars of the country. So the reason is because there is no community feeling at all within this category of Dalits.
The whole Dalits.
Yeah, entire India, there is no community at all. There's imagine community. Madhyas are not unified, Malas are not unified. See, for example, when you say Badagas in my area, Badagas are there. Badaga as a community, you can say. And Badaga as a community, they decide what is good for them. The community stands together. But show me one Dalit colony. You have seen Madras movie. Madras movie is a fight between a fight within the colony. So there is no unified. Right now in Tamil Nadu there is a big debate. Why the subclassification? I was talking about the hatredness of OBCs with the Dalits, right? Dalits and non-Dalits, right? But now the subclassification has come. The Supreme Court said that you implement subclassification. In Kerala, all the Dalits have come out openly and said that we don't support subclassification. But how many Dalits raised the issue of sanitation workers here in this country, in this state? And see, the septic tank cleaners in Kozhikode are allowed to run only at night. And then Chakliers live in this Kerala who were suffering a lot for not getting caste certificate as an SC. And even now they don't get much of an alliance in Kerala. They have to go and marry in Tamil Nadu. Which of the Dalit writers have wrote about it? See, the concept of Dalit, or I would say that the concept of any identity or a black identity or any identity, I don't say identity politics, any name, you give a name for any social movement, that should have any civil rights as a principle, basic principle in it. And if you have civil rights as a basic principle for any of these concepts, then any injustice happen to any human being should be arised, should automatically would come up. But here, they don't even address, for example, Chakliers get attacked by Pariya. When I said that Dalits, another Dalit is attacking a Chaklier, no, not a single Dalit big organization comes and talks about civil rights there or social justice there. So the concept of even civil rights, social justice, whatever Ambedkar spoke, even the fundamental rights, what you call the constitution, when Tirumavalavan and VCK, all of them say that we uphold the constitution. Constitution's basic principle is fundamental rights, right? Fundamental rights and equal rights, fraternity and liberty. And if he cannot practice that within a community, then what bullshit is saying that he is protecting the constitution? From what he is protecting? That is the same constitution. Supreme Court says that every community should have its fundamental rights. Fundamental rights, civil rights and equality and fraternity, they should be treated equally and they should exert the power and the government should have the policies they should reach. So at the end of the discussion, what I say is, caste system is a system which was built by hatredness. And that hatredness is what every individual we imbibe. And we hardly have love to the fellow human beings in India. The reason is the idea of purity pollution. And to understand this category, we need to study this category more deep. That's what I would say.
Northeastern communities,
They are very different. They are Christians. Yeah.
they are all Christians, but that came only in a later period, right?
Yeah, Northeast actually, sorry Mapla, Northeast actually, there are two other states, right? Mizoram, and there are other states. Arunachal Pradesh, then Tripura, all there are same caste system. Yeah, same thing are there. That
belongs to OBC, right?
who?
Counter.
Yeah. So Mapla,